Step back in time to a land sculpted by the Nile, a civilization that defied the desert and reached for eternity. This is the story of ancient Egypt, a world of immense power, profound belief, and a relentless quest for immortality. For over 3,000 years, this remarkable culture flourished, leaving behind monuments that still touch the sky and mysteries that continue to captivate us. How did they build the pyramids with such precision? What did they truly believe about life, death, and the cosmos? Today, we journey down the Nile and into the heart of this golden empire to uncover the secrets of its power, the depth of its faith, and its undying obsession with the afterlife. Our story begins with the river that gave it life, the Nile, every year. Its predictable floods deposited rich black silt along its banks, creating a fertile ribbon of land in the midst of a harsh desert. This gift, known as Kemet, the Black Land, was the foundation of everything. It allowed for abundant harvests, which in turn supported a growing population, specialized labor, and the rise of a complex state. The Egyptians saw the Nile not just as a river, but as a divine force, a cycle of death and rebirth mirrored in their own existence. Control of the Nile meant control of Egypt, and at the very top of this rigidly structured society sat a figure who was more than just a king. He was the Pharaoh, a living god on earth, the intermediary between the divine and the mortal. The Pharaoh's power was absolute, a divine mandate to maintain the cosmic order of truth, justice, and harmony. To challenge the Pharaoh was to challenge the gods themselves. This divine kingship was the political and religious glue that held Egypt together for millennia. We see this power expressed not in words, but in stone, from the towering statues of Ramesses the Great at Abu Simbel, designed to intimidate southern neighbors, to the sprawling temple complexes at Karnak and Luxor. Every monument was a testament to the pharaoh's might and his connection to the divine. The pharaohs were not just rulers, they were high priests. Religion permeated every aspect of Egyptian life. They worshipped a vast pantheon of gods and goddesses, each governing different aspects of nature and human existence. There was Ra, the sun god, who sailed across the sky each day in his solar bark. Osiris, the god of the underworld, who represented resurrection. His devoted wife Isis, the goddess of magic and motherhood, and their son Horus, the falcon-headed god whose living embodiment was the pharaoh himself. These weren't distant deities, they were active participants in the world. Egyptians built magnificent temples not as places for public congregation, but as literal homes for the gods on earth. Daily rituals performed by priests were essential to sustain the gods and, in turn, maintain the balance of the universe. This deep-seated belief system explains one of ancient Egypt's most famous achievements, the pyramids. These are not just giant tombs, they are resurrection machines. The Egyptians believed that death was not an end, but a transition to another, eternal life. To make this journey, however, the body and the spirit, or Ka and Ba, needed to be preserved and reunited. This led to the intricate process of mummification. Skilled embalmers would remove the internal organs, dry the body with natron salt for 40 days, and then wrap it in hundreds of yards of linen bandages, placing protective amulets within the folds. The goal was to preserve the physical form so the spirit could recognize it in the afterlife. The pyramids of Giza, built during the Old Kingdom, represent the pinnacle of this belief. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, the last remaining wonder of the ancient world, was a massive project that required incredible organization, resources, and engineering genius. For centuries, people believed they were built by slaves, but modern archaeology suggests they were constructed by a skilled, well-fed workforce of Egyptian citizens. They were builders, not slaves, working for their god-king, contributing to a national project that ensured cosmic order and their own place in the afterlife. The pyramid's shape was likely a solar symbol, a stone ramp for the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the heavens and join the imperishable stars. But what awaited them after this arduous journey? The Egyptian afterlife, known as the Field of Reeds, was envisioned as an idealized version of Egypt itself, a paradise where there was no sickness, no hunger, and the Nile's waters always flowed, but getting there was a perilous trial. The deceased had to navigate the underworld, facing demons and tricky gateways. Guided by spells from the Book of the Dead. The final judgment was the weighing of the heart. In the Hall of Two Truths, the deceased's heart was weighed on a scale against the feather of Mat, the feather of truth. If the heart, heavy with sin, outweighed the feather, it would be devoured by the terrifying beast Ammit, and the soul would cease to exist. But if the heart was light, the soul was declared true of voice and granted passage to eternal life. This obsession with immortality wasn't just for pharaohs. While only the elite could afford grand tombs and elaborate mummification, the hope for an afterlife was universal. Over time, as the central power of the pharaoh waned, access to the afterlife became more democratized. Funerary texts and spells, once exclusive to royalty, became available to nobles and eventually commoners who could afford them. The tomb of Tutankhamun, a relatively minor king, gives us a breathtaking glimpse into this world. Discovered in 1922, its chambers were packed with over 5,000 objects, golden chariots, jewel-encrusted thrones, simple board games, everything the young king would need to live comfortably for all eternity. It is a time capsule that shows us just how seriously the Egyptians took their preparations for the next world. The civilization of the pharaohs was remarkably resilient, enduring for 3,000 years through periods of strength, division, and foreign rule. They developed one of the world's first writing systems, hieroglyphs, which allowed them to record their history, their beliefs, and their bureaucracy with stunning detail. They made significant advances in medicine, astronomy, and mathematics, all driven by their practical and religious needs. But all empires eventually fall. A series of invasions, first by the Persians, then by Alexander the Great, and finally by the Romans, slowly eroded Egypt's traditional culture. The rise of Christianity delivered the final blow, and the ancient temples fell silent, their gods forgotten, and the knowledge of hieroglyphs lost for over 1,000 years. Yet, ancient Egypt never truly died. It lay dormant, buried beneath the sands, waiting to be rediscovered. When Jean-François Champollion deciphered the Rosetta Stone in the 1820s, he gave a voice back to this silent civilization. Suddenly, the strange symbols on temple walls could be read, and the story of the pharaohs could be told in their own words. Today, the legacy of ancient Egypt is all around us. Their influence can be seen in our art, architecture, and even our concept of time. More than that, they left us with a profound meditation on the human condition. Their monumental efforts to defeat death and achieve immortality speak to a universal desire for meaning and permanence. They show us a civilization that, faced with the fragility of life, chose not to despair, but to build for eternity. From the golden mask of Tutankhamun to the silent gaze of the Great Sphinx, the world of ancient Egypt continues to inspire awe and wonder. It's a story of a people who harnessed the power of a river, who saw their leaders as gods, and who believed so profoundly in an eternal life that they dedicated their entire civilization to reaching it. Their story is written in stone and gold, a timeless epic of power, belief, and the enduring dream of immortality. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the sands of time. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more adventures into our incredible past. See you next time.